The role of L1 in TBLT. Before we come to the end of this unit, let us address one of the major issues concerning task-based teaching, the use of the mother tongue in TBLT. As teachers, we know that our classes are hugely heterogeneous vis-a-vis English proficiency. Using the L1 or the most common shared language to teach difficult or abstract concepts is quite often the norm. But we are often told that the L1 must not be used in the class as it will prevent learners from learning English. This idea is losing currency, and there is plenty of research to show that the L1, particularly in the initial stages of language learning, can act as a scaffold. It saves precious time in the classroom, and learners can draw upon their understanding of a concept in their own languages to negotiate it through it in the target language. Using the L1, the teacher can create a less threatening atmosphere and encourage shy or nervous students to participate in learning. In the pre-task phase, where the teacher's role is to provide rich input and introduce and explain the task, teachers could use the L1 to quickly make complex ideas and abstract concepts clear. Learners can be asked to repeat the instructions in the L1 to ensure that they have understood the task demands. It is useful for task management, task clarification, and determining meaning and vocabulary. At this point, they are not involved in the task. In the task cycle, where students are most active, the teacher can help when they are stuck for resources such as words or structures. In this stage, L1 use is likely to be lower than in the other two stages. In the post-task stage, teachers can use L1 particularly to draw contrasts or comparisons between grammatical structures in English and L1. Learners' L1 can serve as a source of cognitive support for their language analysis. For example, the teacher could ask them, "How would you say in your language?" This encourages students to develop the ability to distinguish between structural, semantic, and pragmatic equivalence as per Widdowson. Let us not hesitate to use L1 while implementing a task-based lesson, but we must do so judiciously. In short, advantages of using L1 can include scaffolding learning during the early stages of learning, making complex ideas and abstract concepts clear, creating a less threatening atmosphere in the classroom. Useful for task management, task clarification, determining meaning and vocabulary. It can also serve as a cognitive support for language. Let us now do a sample analysis of a task. A sample task is given to you. Think of an incident that made you happy or excited or surprised. Work in small groups or tell your partners 1. About the incident. 2. Decide among yourselves which incident was happier, more exciting, more surprising. One of you can tell the class about it. Decide as a class which incident you would rate as the most interesting or the best and why. Finally, write down this incident with as many details as you can remember. You can do this as a group. compare it with the rest of the groups. See if you can remember who narrated this incident. Let us look at the preliminary considerations. What vocabulary, grammar, information, skills do the students already know about today's lesson? Students will already have studied or been familiar with some of these things. Students will have recently reviewed something. You could look at it and analyze. What aspects of the lesson do I as a teacher anticipate my students might find challenging or difficult? In this case, how will I avoid or address each of these problem areas? So, in the planning stage, maybe I think that students may find reconstructing the story based on isolated phrases or sentences difficult. In this case, to address the problem, I as the teacher will closely monitor groups and help them come up with ideas by asking probing questions or offering suggestions. In the practice stage, I may not be very sure how much guided practice the students may need. That is, will the students be able to write if phrases alone are provided as clues, or will they need longer sentences with certain bits missing in between? In this case, to solve the problem, I could prepare alternative activities. If students are good, I will skip the gap-filling activity and move directly to the writing task. Given this, I could prepare a lesson plan which may have time and the task type in one column, the stage in another column, the procedure and steps in the third column, and interaction between teachers and students or among students in the fourth column. In the pre-task stage, which is an introduction to the topic and task, the teacher could ask students if they like stories, what kind of stories they like, when they read or listened to a story the last time, what kind of story it was, etc. Here, the teacher is talking more to the students. The next phase, the teacher tells the students that today they are going to work with a story, but that she or he has forgotten the story at home and that she or he can't remember the whole story but only parts of it. She asks students to help her or him to rewrite the story so they can work on it. This is also the teacher talking to the students a lot. The teacher then writes the target words on the board, checks if the students know the words, and explains to them if necessary. The teacher also focuses on pronunciation and spelling. Here too the teacher is talking more to the students. The teacher asks students to guess what happened in the story. The teacher listens to the students' ideas and writes them on the board. Here, largely students may also talk to each other and they talk to the teacher. In the next stage, the task cycle stage, we could divide the phases into task, planning and report. In the task phase, the teacher can check his or her bag and tell the student, I have found some parts of the story. The teacher will give them a worksheet with isolated sentences related to the story. Students work in groups of 4 and try to complete the missing portions of the story. Here, students are working with each other. In the planning phase of the task cycle, students will prepare their stories. The teacher walks around the classroom to check students' language and communication. Here too, students are largely interacting with each other. In the final phase of the task cycle, reporting phase, the students, after they have done their planning, the task, one representative from each group reads the story. the class discusses whose story is the most believable or realistic. Here too, students are interacting with each other. In the third stage, post-task cycle, analysis phase of it, the teacher looks into her bag again and says she has found the story. The teacher reads the story out and asks students how the original story is similar to or different from their versions. Here, the teacher is talking more with the students. The teacher asks the students to underline all the verbs in the past simple tense in their stories. The teacher checks answers and corrects students if necessary and asks students to put the verbs into two categories, regular and irregular verbs. Here, students are interacting with each other and the teacher is also interacting with the students. The teacher can further ask the students how they know if a verb is regular or not. If necessary, more explanations can be given, and this will have the teacher interacting more with the students. In the practice phase of the post-task cycle, students could work in pairs where one is student A and the other is student B. Student A retells the story that she or he created at the beginning of the lesson using the keywords the teacher gave the group to student B. This has to be done in 4 minutes. Student B just listens and does not interrupt nor question. When the 4 minutes are up, the teacher says, change partners. Student A then moves to a new student B. The teacher says, begin, and student A gives exactly the same talk to the new partner, but this time has only 3 minutes. During the two deliveries of the same story, the B students do not talk and each student B listens to two different people. When the A students have given their talk 2 times, the B students can now go through the same sequence, this time as speakers. Here, students are interacting with each other. In the final phase of the post-task cycle, there could be evaluation and reflection. The teacher dictates another list of regular and irregular verbs from the text. The teacher asks students to work in pairs or to make a story using all the verbs in the order they were dictated. She encourages them to be creative. They can make a story about anything they wish, but they must use the given verbs in exactly the order the teacher dictated. Students compare the stories in groups of 4. The teacher asks students to write what they learned in this lesson. This is where the teacher and students are interacting, and students are also interacting amongst themselves. This lesson plan is a sample one that is taken from grammar lessons for the AE teacher program. You can look up more such things there.